Shaking now, get 'em up downtown. Get your rocks off, get your rocks off on it. Shaking now, get 'em up downtown. Get your rocks off, get your rocks off on it. Shaking now, get 'em up downtown. Get your rocks off, get your rocks off.
We're live on Facebook. Darling, your hair looks beautiful.
I know, I just keep getting a middle part.
Welcome to the live LUF Lounge.
Welcome to our home, beautiful people, and thank you guests for zooming into your home as well.
Yeah. Do you know, that's important, that we're inviting people into our homes, aren't we? So be respectful. That's all we ask.
This is Peter Yarwood.
Treat our home as we treat yours. This is Emma Daggers.
Hi guys. For everyone out there, if you have any questions for our guests, which are amazing and beautiful guests tonight, write in the comments. I've got my beloved colleague in my ear, so I'm going to take him out. I love you, but I can't multitask with time.
Do you know something? This platform, what we've got, is awesome. It allows us to shape our own. No longer are we dependent on somebody else to tailor our message and say to him, please, sir, will you deliver our message in this way? We can do it ourselves, live and direct. When we've got a voice, we can step up and make sure that voice is heard. Tonight, we want our voice to be heard. So we're asking you to like it and share it. That's how we're going to reach people. Like it and share it, and like it, share it. You can win a prize. Tonight we're going to be giving away around 40 quid, £40.
Whoop, whoop.
That's probably about
awesome.
$50 or $60, man, for those of you watching in the USA.
Cincinnati.
We've got someone from Cincinnati tonight. He looks dead cool, don't he? These guys from the USA just carry a swing on a all different level, man. Monty B, welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor.
What was you going to say?
Well, I was just going to explain a little bit about what this is about, this forum's about, this platform's about, because we have an hour and a half to speak into people's worlds. And I just think it's really important that we drive out main messages. And I just wanted to ask you really quickly, if you had a main message and you had a few seconds to implement it into people's worlds out there, what would it be?
It would be, it's cool to protest, and we do protest, but we do it peacefully, and we do it with an intention. So when we protest by identifying areas in the community that we can be of service, and we go and be, servants, but visible. And that wins people's hearts and minds, because we know with substance misuse, criminal justice and mental health, there's a lot of stigma. The only way we're going to change that stigma is by attaching hands and feet to action, positive, pro-social and peaceful action. That'd be mine. But I had more than a few minutes to come up with that.
Yeah, I think mine would be about, because when I'm out, and a massive shout out as well to Kevin, who's my right-hand man when I do outreach on a Friday, he's just a soldier on the street. Mine would
Kevin,
be,
who inked up all my car seats with
Kevin.
the pen.
Oh, Kevin,
That
if you're
Kevin.
watching, yeah, you've got a leaky pen, dude. You've got a leaky pen.
Yeah, and I've got some inky car seats.
But we can sort that out. It's not a problem. Mine would be for people who are watching this and who have access to this platform, to share that with the service users and the guys out there that haven't got a platform, because there's some great speakers on tonight who are giving the hope shot, and the dealing in hope, because that's what we're dealing, isn't it?
What
hope.
do you mean?
So
Share it.
I think that staff members and professionals, this is a platform for the Lancashire User Forum. Is predominantly, it's a space where everybody is welcome, where we unite everybody, whether people are still in treatment, not even reached treatment yet, they're still out there, in the thick of it, on the margins, whether they're in recovery, whether they're a family member, whatever fellowship they belong to, everybody is welcome. Professionals, commissioners, managers, service users, and AA, everyone, is welcome in this space. And for people who have this technology and are watching now, you have a duty of care to share this with those that haven't, and give them the hope shot.
Yeah.
And to teach them, to show them that there's another way to live.
To show them, because you can't tell them. I know when I was
to show
deeply
them this
entrenched, I needed to see it, man.
Yeah.
And we've got Brian in the house tonight as well. And Brian was rocking on the streets of Preston, so there are some guys out there who you will inspire and you will give the hope shot to.
Right, let's kick off with
start a round of intros on main messages, guys. So Oscar.
So yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Oscar Phillips. I work for Red Rose Recovery and I'm a volunteer for the Lancashire User Forum. The message I'm here to share tonight is that Black Lives Matter.
Thanks, Oscar. Mika!
I'm Mika. I'm a student at Lancaster University. Thank you all for having me today. I'm very excited about this. And I'm going to be talking a bit about Black Lives Matter movement again, the same as Oscar, and the importance of community as well.
Great to have you, Mika.
Thank you.
All the way from Cincinnati.
Cincinnati in the house.
Yes. And my platform tonight is to shed some light on how we are conducting ourselves over here in the United States since the coronavirus has came into action, and we all been quarantined. And so I will be shedding some light on that and giving some experience, strength, and hope on how to stay clean just for one more day.
Yeah, baby. Awesome. Thanks, Monty.
Great to have you.
Thank
We've
you.
got Alex Campbell and Andrew from last week. They're rolling over to this week. They're here again, so it's great to have you guys.
But we missed Andrew out last week. He didn't have time, so
I know.
yeah. So welcome back, guys. What's your main message tonight?
So I'll be going through what we do at Walter Lane House, 13 bedroom supported housing project for people with substance misuse problems. And Andrew has now got a mute Alex button programmed into the computer, so he will definitely get his share in today.
And Alex,
right, Brian?
Alex, I'm gonna have a waffle stick, yeah?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You need to be quiet and let Andrew speak.
Of course, yeah. No, it's going to be all right this week. Yeah.
Yay!
So, and Andrew can just quickly explain what he's here for.
Yeah, well, I'll just I'll give a very brief outline of my story and then talk about what we do at Old Cliff House
Okay.
on 14th Street in Lancaster.
Awesome, thank you guys. We love you.
Andrew can go first.
Okay, thank you. We have the not so sinister minister back by popular demand, Mr. Fleming.
Hello there. Yeah, I think today the word of the week will be, I'm thinking, the truth will set you free.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Real truth.
That's really relevant in our lives, especially, yeah, man. That lesson we can learn daily, can't we? Yeah, nice one, man. And we've got our very own muted Glen Island.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I'm Glenn. I work for Red Rose Recovery and an advocate of Lancashire User Forum, and I'm here to get the messages across from the community to you, the guests, and also share what you can win. So I'll touch on that later.
Awesome, Glenn. Thank you, love. And Mr. Brian Porter in the house.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm Brian, and I think I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my story. And I suppose the message underlying that is probably the other side of Mick's message, which is, you know, the truth will set you free, but you got to get rid of the lies first.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're going deep. We're going deep tonight.
Deep tonight, guys.
Deep.
Chill out, kick back and relax, because that's what this is about. Move your chair up, love. This is a lounge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about lounging,
Yeah,
lounging with lounging with language.
So, with that, I think it's. I think so. Let's just kick it off with Oscar.
Got a message.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So Oscar, our very own Oscar.
Very the one and only. What's happening? Yeah, no, thank you for letting us come on today and talk about this, because as I said, we're going to be talking about Black Lives Matter, and it's contentious, it's political, and it upsets people. And I think the reason it's only right that we talk about it here and now is because it's a massive overlap. It falls into our remit to look at Black and minority ethnic communities and see what more we can do for them. I'm just going to quickly read the statement that the Lancashire User Forum and Red Rose Recovery both endorse, which is, the Lancashire User Forum and Red Rose Recovery stand in solidarity with organisers and peaceful activists around the world mobilising against systemic racism. We condemn unequivocally any and all forms of prejudice, injustice and violence. We believe in peace, inclusivity and equality. We are with you. Black Lives Matter. I think it's really important now more than ever, because obviously the struggle of people of colour has been going on for far too long, and I've been told by plenty of my own friends and family members that this isn't my fight. I don't have any right to speak on this, but for me, being a part of this younger generation, there's I think a massive consciousness of white privilege and things like that, and to be aware that I can still struggle and I can still suffer, and as a drug addict, like I have significantly, but the colour of my skin has never been a part of that, and I will never understand what that pain and that oppression is like. So I think it's important that we use our privilege as a platform, in the same way that the Lancashire User Forum is a platform for people of all creeds, of all colours, of all faiths, of all backgrounds, to broadcast a message for social and system change, which means change in organisations. And I think you know, we need to start with our own. You know, we need to work from the bottom up. I went to a protest today in Preston. It's actually the first protest I've ever been to, and you know, I was brought to tears by how powerful it was. I'm really passionate for Red Rose recovery and involving young people. At first, it was when I was looking at addiction. I believed if we, and I still believe, if we equip the next generation with an understanding of addiction, whether you see it as a disease, a condition, a disorder, or even if you see it as a lifestyle, whatever you want, as long as we educate the next generation, then we are doing our bit to make the world a fairer and more just place for the next to inhabit it. And I saw exactly the same today at this protest. I saw people as young as 14 getting up, taking a hold of the microphone, holding up signs, chanting and clapping and letting themselves be heard, and talking about really prudent issues, about the criminal justice system, about drugs, and really speaking from the heart. And it moved me to tears. And you know, the first step is education. You know, a number of years ago, I wouldn't have ever dreamed of saying to anyone Black Lives Matter, let alone coming on a platform like this and letting it be heard. But like I said before, we cannot allow ourselves to be held hostage by the bigotry of other people. Whatever the backlash, we need to speak out. We need to do our bit, and it falls within our remit. We're well within our right to do this. We have a platform. We have the privilege enough to broadcast that change. And you know, obviously, we work with people who suffer with substance misuse and are in and out of the cycle of criminal justice and with mental health. And I was looking at some of the statistics on it, how it affects disproportionately the disparity between white and ethnic minority groups. And I was actually really upset to find that there's not an awful lot of findings and publishings about it. It's only in the past few years this is widely recognised by the UK Drug Policy Commission and Public Health England. I was looking at one that you know, it mentions that out of people in treatment, there's about 277,000 as of 2017, 2018, according to Public Health England, 89% of which are from various white, British and other white backgrounds. So 11% of Black and minority ethnic communities, which makes sense because, you know, the BAME communities are statistically, there's a lot less lower level of drug use. Then why am I, because of the colour of my skin, 34% less likely to be arrested or charged for cocaine possession, or 2.5 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis possession? And why are these people so overrepresented in the criminal justice system? So basically my message tonight is that we need to stand for human solidarity. We welcome with open arms absolutely everyone, and you know, we've got a long way to go. This country isn't innocent, and it's important that we let ourselves be heard now. It really pains me to see that this day and age it's still an issue, but you know, it matters to everyone. It should matter to everyone. I was told this morning when I was going to the protest that it's not my place, it's not my fight. Well, if you look at coronavirus, which is, you would think, indiscriminate, you know, it's a pandemic. If it's not my fight, then how come COVID is? How come I'm expected to do my duty and to social distance and stay in to avoid becoming a carrier or being infected with this, when people of Black African descent are 3.5 times more likely to die of this disease? Black Caribbean people are 1.7 times more likely to die of this disease, and people of Pakistani descent are 2.7 times more likely to die of this disease. You can't tell me that systemic racism doesn't exist. You can tell me, oh, we're not as bad as America, but I read the other day that 1,477 people since '97 have been killed in police custody, and no police officers have been charged. There have been no prosecutions. We need to look at every aspect of society. You know, it's in the NHS, it's in our drug services, like I've already mentioned, it's in the criminal justice system, and it touches every single one of us. And all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Yeah. And if you do nothing and you stay silent, you have by default chosen the side of the oppressor. So I'm here today to hopefully open some productive discourse on that. And just to get people thinking, it starts with education. I would just implore people to doubt themselves, to research, to educate themselves, to challenge themselves, to challenge your friends, your family members. You might lose people, you might be deleting people on Facebook, you might be ignoring people in real life. But if you've tried your hardest to educate people, and it's come from a loving place, because yeah, we are humanity, and people say all lives matter, but clearly they don't. People are being killed and oppressed at an appalling level. All lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter.
Word up.
Oh, Oscar, I love that. Oh, I love that you're paying an interest in the figures, you know, the numbers. I love that.
You've mined some data there, haven't you, Oscar? And I think, you know, it is apparent that more Black people get stopped and searched. You know, while you was talking, I just thought becoming aware is like, it's a start, innit?
Yeah.
Becoming aware, actually, there's an issue. We might not be purposefully part of racist systems, but sometimes we're unconsciously a part of it as well, and just getting some awareness around it. It's certainly got me and the leadership discussing, well, why have we not got any ethnic minorities? Because in Lancashire, there's quite, you know, there's a big ethnic minority population. There's you know, quite a few, but we don't seem to have them in our leadership or in our space. And I just wonder, well, we've had the discussion, haven't we, how we can change that. You know, and it starts before we can start changing, saying to parts of the system, oh, you need to change this, you need to. I think we should have a look at cleaning our own and sorting that out first and foremost.
I think Oscar's touched on as well what we opened up with, which was if you're in a teaching role, which we all are when we come into recovery, aren't we? We're blessed to be that teacher. If you've stopped teaching, then look inside and question yourself. Can we just bring Mika in on the back of that, Oscar? Mika, hi, darling.
Yeah.
So good.
Following on, like from what Oscar said, couldn't have said it better myself. 100%. You know, as Oscar said, a lot of people think like, why are you trying to fight? This isn't your fight to have. But it is. You know, we have white privilege. Silence from white people is violence in itself. You know, we need to use our white privilege to open up the space for other people to talk, to have their voices heard. And obviously community in this time has been very, very important. Things like justice for George Floyd, that wouldn't have happened without the sense of community, people protesting, people signing petitions, everything. That wouldn't have happened without the sense of community of all of us like coming together to achieve something. So I think, like, following on from Oscar again, we need to be listening to people of colour, and we need to be empathetic with their experiences, understand, don't fight back against them. You know, you need to open that space and listen to what people have to say, to what they've dealt with, and how you can move on and educate other people from that, like learning and unlearning. As Oscar was saying, we have like internalized racism that you don't even realize could be there. So challenging your own racial biases, challenging anything that you believe, challenging the people around you as well. It's not enough to have the conversations with people that you agree with. You need to have that further conversation with other people that you don't agree with, and make sure that you're cutting racism off at the source. It's not one to continue. You know, don't be silent on that. Asking people, why do you believe that? Where does that belief come from? Not necessarily having an argument with them, but trying to get to the bottom of why they believe that, and then teaching them further of what they should be believing, really.
Yeah. As well, isn't it? That's questioning it, grandma.
Exactly, questioning where it comes from and why you still believe in that, and why you haven't taught further, why you haven't learned something else. So I'm sure people have seen at the moment, there's so many readings, films, petitions going around. There's so much that you can read up on. There's loads of films on Netflix as well. If people are watching Netflix, there's stuff that I saw one on Channel 4 the other day. There's all sorts going on at the moment to raise awareness for Black Lives Matter and get people talking, get people seeing that this is a real issue that we all need to be helping with to stop racism. As I said as well, signing petitions, that's a really good sense of community. It gets your voice across. It takes 2 minutes to sign a petition, probably under 2 minutes to sign a petition. There's loads going around on the internet right now. A quick Google search, quick search on social media, you find it straight away. And I think all you need is your name and your email address as well, and you can sign them. Really easy way to get your voice across as well. And then another sense of like community within the Black Lives Matter movement is going to protest. As Oscar said, he went to one today. I know there was one in Blackpool yesterday, and there's one in Lytham that I'm wanting to go to tomorrow as well. Going to protest, especially in like your local area, the peaceful protest, you get a really good sense of community and love and support and solidarity from the people around you, not just from one community, but from everyone coming together to support Black Lives Matter and challenge the racism that's going on around us as well. Obviously, when going to protest, you know, people are wearing all the protection and everything for coronavirus, which in itself is brilliant to see as well.
Yeah.
And then, as I said again, on social media, community on social media right now is brilliant to see. Obviously, as Oscar said, you know, having those challenging conversations even through social media with people who aren't sharing the movement or are trying to challenge it. Social media itself is a really quick way to gain access to the current news that's going on as well. Searching like the Black Lives Matter hashtag, you come up with like daily news that's going on at the moment. So that in itself is a really good way to get information and everything.
Thank you, Mika.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Because speaking of sharing and social media, if you like and share this, I know I keep saying it, but it's so important that we've got to get our message out there. So guys, hit the like and share button, and you can win a voucher, a £40 voucher. Glenn's holding up two £20 vouchers there, and last week we had a competition as well, didn't we, Glenn? So we're rolling last week's competition over. So there's a £20 box of sweets and £40 voucher for just hitting the like and share button.
What more can you want? What more can you want for watching? You know, watching, just share it. You could get a £40 voucher. Glenn, where's the voucher for?
This one has been donated by Claire at We Are With You, formerly known as Young at Action.
Thank you.
And then we've got a £20 voucher of your choice, and it's for people whoever like and share it, but they have to like it for us to be able to manage it and put it into the draw, which you'll see later how it's done.
So you've got to like and share. Okay, so Oscar and Mika, you're going to have a job. I'm going to give you a job now. You have to, in the rest of this live stream, you guys have to remind the audience to like and share. Yeah?
Will do. Can I just quickly come? Oh, sorry, Glenn, go on.
Can I just come in? I've got a couple of shout outs to give out and a couple to you, Oscar. So, Oscar, Naz Rashid said, well done, Oscar. Stephen Brown, our own Stephen Brown, said that he had goosebumps when you was delivering that. Naomi Clough, sorry, proud of you, Oscar. So
that's my mum.
Quite a.
Oh, hi, Mum. Oscar's mum. I feel like his mother as well. Hi. Sorry, Glenn, go on.
No, and just a couple of shout outs to Lindsay Jackson that's on every week in the comments. Our own Lynn Sutter, Gemma Mulholland, and Stephen Brown. So there's a shout out to you guys.
Big shout out, Blackpool in the house and the team. Awesome.
I've got to get this one in. Leanne Moore turned around and said, Black Lives Matter, one world, let's be one.
Amen.
Yeah. And that's always been our main message, hasn't it? About unity. I said it at the beginning there, then unify, edify.
And
oh, sorry, Peter. Go on.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, sort of as proof of what Mika and I have spoken about is, so Mika and me actually went to secondary school together, and she probably hated me, but she always called me out. She always called me out. You know, Peter, you were talking about passive racism. I was very passive racist. I was very uneducated and very angry. But it's people like Mika, which is why I'm really grateful that she's, you know, given up her time to come on here today, is that calling people out politely and from a loving place, and sharing what they've learned works, you know, because I'm an example of that. And 166 MPs that are bringing it up to the government that they, you know, there's a petition about stopping exporting riot gear, tear gas and rubber bullets to the US police. It, you know, it works. You know, raising your voice and educating works.
Voice of the voiceless. Thanks, Oscar. Can we just, on that note, bring in Monty? You're on mute, honey.
All right, there. Is that better?
Hey.
Monty.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So, hello, and I am new at this, so please bear with me. Now, are you supposed to ask me something, or I'm just supposed to go ahead and go on in it?
So I would just say, so the theme being, what was our main message if we had an opportunity to make a change in people's lives? And you're dialing into a few thousand people's lives tonight, Monty. So it's your 20 minutes, love.
Okay. All right. Yes, Black Lives Matter. And I would like to give you my take from a Black man who is going through this out here right now. My fears, my mindset, and I'm just going to get honest with y'all, okay? My mindset is that I am very upset with what's going on. It was Wednesday when I watched the video. I woke up and I sit there and watch that video of how that cop killed that man. And I just got so frustrated. I got mad. I cried. I'm like, whoa, because now it's like it's deep. And then because of my drug addiction, I've been in a lot of institutions. I've been to prison 4 times, and there is when I would say like 15 years ago, this is the last time I was in prison. But that last bit is when I really started to see racism, and I really became racist myself, okay? I became racist toward white authority. So, and then after seeing that video Wednesday, that popped up, that flared up, all that flared up, and now within, I'm looking for a white person to say something crazy to me because I'm ready to let them have it. I'm ready to let them have it. I'm ready to attack. And then I got to say, Monty, what are you doing? Hold up. Hold up, man. You got to pull yourself together and stop, pray, because I'm a big Black man. Now, as a big Black man, whenever I get upset or whenever I repeat something that let's say on the job, and if we call them white boys, okay? And if a white boy says something off the handle, and if I was to say the same thing, now I'm angry. And when I just repeated what he said, so I'm angry. So I always got looked up on. Whenever I got upset, it was always I'm angry, opposed to when the white man got upset, he's not angry. Now, I'm saying that to say this is because all this is flaring up in my head right now. You know, as over here in the United States, what we're going through right now, I guess the world, you know, what as far as what a Black man is going through right now, I am like pissed off. And when they tore up downtown, I'm giving you my truth. I was like, they didn't do enough damage. and I'm like, hold up, man, you can't. That's not the way to do things. Because in the fellowship that I attend, you know, the spiritual principles that they talk about, to me, the greatest of all the spiritual principles that everybody like to talk about, and they like to sound good, repeating and sharing, but the greatest of these is love. That's what I believe. Working the principles and practicing practicing the principles is all good and dandy to quote and read the literature, but how are you living? And so love for me is all God. And you know, how would God love? All the times I try to get clean, all the times I done smoke dope, all the times I done stuff for my kids, all the times I done put my hands on men and women, all the times I done just did dirt to get one more. God still loved me. So now it's time for me to show that same kind of love with how I act and how I am in my walk. So as a Black man, now I'm also interested. It's going to be interesting when the meetings do open up because of the quarantine. Okay, because all the meetings here are shut down in Cincinnati anyway. They just opened up a couple of meetings in the last couple of days, and so already in the fellowship in Narcotics Anonymous, in Narcotics, we was already experiencing racism and so on, which we still do in the 12-step fellowships, AA, NA, CA, wherever you at, there's still racism that goes on. Now, this is a good time for the fellowships to now start, okay, since all this is going on, let's do some changes within their traditions. Let's do some changes within the way the world, when I say the world, meaning NA, we call it the world, whatever, you know, the overall picture of those who are in charge of the NA process. Let's start changing some laws and so on within our community, within our society. And when I say our society, any 12-step fellowship, you know, let's look at the racism that goes on in there, because that here in Cincinnati has been a big issue before all this has taken place. But other than that, but one thing for certain, two things for sure, that it's still my job as the world's greatest motivator to keep on pumping out videos and showing some hope, some love, and letting the newcomer know that, hey, regardless of what's going on, one thing's for certain, two things for sure, you better not put no dope in you. Because once you put some dope in you, it's over. It's over. We ain't gonna care about no quarantine. We ain't gonna care about no racism. We ain't gonna care about nothing. And two, let me say this, that the disease of addiction, he doesn't care what color you are. He wants that ass. And he's out to do one thing, and that's to kill, steal, and destroy. Let's not forget that one. So those of you in the recovery community, yes, we are experiencing some things here within the world today, but please, let's not lose focus on who we are. Let's not lose focus that we are alcoholics and drug addicts. And if we put one in us, it's over. It's over. Also, too, I like to speak to the newcomer, to that person who is new in the recovery community, regardless of what fellowship you do. Please know that I've always liked to push meetings because of 90 and 90, and because I don't know what it's like over there on the other side of the world, but until you can get to a meeting, I encourage you to stay connected to these Zoom meetings. For me, these Zoom meetings was hard for me to do and to get into because I like to be personal. I like to touch, feel, and I miss the hugs, man. I miss getting hugs. I miss seeing my brothers and sisters, Black and white. I miss the touching part of recovery. But because of recovery, to those newcomers, I got 3 years and 4 months clean. And because of recovery, because I got hooked up, I am able to step outside of the meetings. I am able to today to be connected with society. They say that our mission is to be able to be a part of society, and since I put aside my fears, since I put aside my low self-esteem, I did put them aside. Let me say, since I worked on them, I'm able to do other things that's going to help me stay clean. Because a lot of us, I can say, when I first started, meetings what helped me stay clean. And as a newcomer, meetings, well, first of all, let me take my hat off to those of you, we call them the Zoom babies. Those of you who got out of treatment and wasn't able to get to a meeting, and the only thing you had to do to stay clean was to come to Zoom. I take my hat off to you, because I don't know if I would still be clean if that was the case. Like meetings that we go to, they always say, I ain't never been here, or some of y'all, like in the literature, some of us are more fortunate than others. And I consider myself a fortunate one with 3 years and being able to get clean when I got clean, because I know I wouldn't be clean if doing these meetings was the only way to keep me clean. I knew I wouldn't be clean. So like I said, to those of you who are staying clean, got out of treatment and had to get a meeting this way, my hat's off to you. Also, newcomers, I encourage you to get a sponsor. Get a sponsor. Sponsorship is so important. The sponsorship will help you get through the coronavirus. Sponsorship will help you get through the Black Lives Matter movement, because I had to go to my sponsor and tell my sponsor, man, I'm feeling some type of way toward my white brothers. And it was because of my sponsor being able to talk to me and to share some of his experience, strength, and hope. He said, Monty, you don't hate white people, you hate racism. And I'm like, wow, I needed to hear that, because I started to develop some type of hate. I did. All those underlying issues that I still suffer with, that I have yet to take care of in step work. Like in step work, they got a part where it says institutions. You know, there's some institutions that I've yet to deal with because of where I've been at. And it's very important that I watch myself, but most importantly is that I do know myself, and I know what I suffer with, and I know what I deal with. So newcomers, once again, get a sponsor, call up that sponsor, work with that sponsor, get honest with that sponsor, tell them everything that's going on, the things that you think will make you feel less than a man, the things that you think will make you feel like a lame. You better get with your sponsor. And here's something else, newcomers, those of you who just got out of treatment. Now, this is a suggestion that I heard like 25 years ago, and I've been trying to get clean for 25 years, only to come up with not only, oh, I'm sorry, forgive me, I said only to come up with 3 years. If you got a week clean, I encourage you, never put an only. I only got such and such clean time, because when you put an only on it, it's like you downplay everything that you have worked for. Because you remember when you couldn't get 1 day clean? Remember that time when you couldn't get 1 day clean, when you promised yourself, you said you're gonna do this, you said you're gonna do that, and you couldn't get that only 1 day. So never stay lonely when it comes to your clean time or your sobriety time. Now, that one suggestion I would like to give those of you who just got out of treatment, this is just a suggestion. And this is gonna sound lame, because I thought it was lame. And that is, it was suggested for me not to get in a relationship for a whole year. I'm like, you have to be nuts. Me not getting in a relationship for a whole year, when that's all I knew was relationships, was to get in them so I can survive, and so I can do what drug addicts do when they have no more money, or when they get put out. They run to relationship after relationship after relationship. But when it was suggested for me not to get in a relationship for a year, I was so beaten this time when I got clean. I said, I'm going to do whatever them people tell me to do. And I said, I never tried that relationship piece, but I was so beaten. I was ready to do whatever. And I wanted to prove to my higher power, God, I want to tell God, I would do what they tell me to do. And to whoever else was watching me, I'm going to do what the people in the fellowship tell me to do. And I didn't get in a relationship for a year. And by not getting in a relationship for a year, man, it allowed me to know who Monty is. It allowed me to know what Monty likes. and it allowed me to really get plugged in to God. And because I did that, man, the benefits have been tremendous. And two, I couldn't get off the block. When I was an addict who was that 4-block radius that they talk about in the meetings. And when I put down the dope, and when I said I'm gonna do whatever them people tell me to do, is that now today Monty B Abnormal, the world's greatest motivator, is able to share a message here, over here in England, man, because when you put down the dope, lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise to the newcomers out there. So, like I always say at the end of my videos, which is on Facebook under Monty Bornetta, Monty B Abnormal on YouTube, be big, be blessed, be humble. Stay connected to the winners.
Yeah, baby.
And that's everyone that's in the recovery community who ain't putting no dope in them and who's living by spiritual principles. Thank you.
Amen.
Thanks, Monty.
Thank you.
What I'm hearing there then, dude, is love is the answer.
Yes.
Love is the answer. I'm just going to kick it over to Glenn because you've got some questions and big ups from the community, Glenn.
Yeah, I'm on to again.
Yes,
so
Glenn.
I've got a question from Lindsay Jackson. She's put, do you think the situation has gone worse since Obama has not been president with racism?
Say it again.
Do you think the situation's worsened with racism since Obama's not been president?
Oh yes. Oh yes. It's got worse when Trump's got into office.
Okay, that's one. Also, Dan Littlechild says, what motivates Monty to be the world's greatest motivator?
Great question.
Well, say it again. I didn't understand. Say it one more time.
What motivates you to be the world's greatest motivator?
What motivates me to be the world's greatest motivator is to be able to give just one person who thought that they wasn't good enough, who felt like me. I was raised up in foster care, and I always felt hopeless. I always felt like no one cared. And what motivates me to do what I'm doing is to let somebody who feels the same way know that they do matter and that Monty B cares. And that's what motivates me to be the world's greatest motivator.
Monty, on that note, Monty, can I ask you to hit the share button as well?
I try to hit it. Okay, look, wait a minute. And I'm hitting share, but what am I sharing to?
Share it to anyone who listens. Share it to a group, to a page, to a news feed.
It's not allowing me to share it to Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold don't want to be sharing on the Zoom because that's a different kind of sharing.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's got to be on the Facebook feed.
Yeah, you want to share it on the
Facebook, YouTube, get it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not giving me the option is saying Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, Photo, Document, Web, URL, Bookmark, Screen.
No, that's a different share. You have to be on Facebook to hit the share.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because what'll happen, people will watch this later on tonight. They'll watch it in the morning.
Next week.
And if that's you watching this on Facebook tonight or tomorrow or the day after, hit the like and share button and we'll in a competition. Do you know, last week, Monty, we had a competition winner all the way in the United States. So it was like, right, we're going to have to post a prize to our winner in the USA. And Glenn, how did that work out for us?
I'm not on mute. So I reached out. It was Angela Strong that won. I reached out to her on Facebook. She's not got back to me, so that's why it's been rolled over. So that's the reason why it's a £40 voucher from last week's shares and a £20 sweet box. So I'm going to be drawing that live. I don't know when we're doing it. We're doing it at the end. And then whoever shares and likes it from this week will get delivered on next week's show.
Or if they don't step up for it, it gets rolled over, does it, Glenn?
Yeah, that's correct.
So Oscar, Monty, Mika, I think you guys have really
Awesome.
stepped up. I
Yes.
think great. It's a powerful message. And if you're watching this on playback, that's why we're asking you to hit the share button, because we want other people to become aware of these issues. So
can I just also just interject there?
Go for it.
I just wanted to pick up on something that Monty said, the world's greatest motivator said about the Zoom generation. If you are falling into recovery at the minute and you are in the Zoom rooms, my hat's off to you as well. There are plenty of Zoom meetings about. I know we can get some of the meetings. Lorna, I know Lorna Simpson's watching, and Lorna said, congratulations on your 3 years, Monty. 3 years, 6 months, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Monty.
and also, there are, you can just jump over to Cincinnati or California to do a meeting in the US today. And I think that's what the beautiful thing that's come out of this digital age. We can touch our brothers and sisters virtually in other parts of the world.
Our guys can touch base with you now, Monty, because you share a lot of your activities, don't you? I mean, I've been looking at some of the things you do to motivate people, and it's very, you're up with the birds first thing in the morning doing workouts, aren't you? And some of you guys, you take them on hikes and get them connected with nature and things like that, don't you? Just paint a picture, Monty, how you get people from entrenched into some of the issues to good places, how you take them through that journey and how you sustain it for them.
Well, I do so by posting, letting them see, letting them see a Black Lives Matter, man, out there that not only we do other stuff besides on what the media shows us. The media doesn't show Black men out there hiking. It doesn't show Black men and women out there on Sunday mornings getting in touch with nature. It doesn't really show us as a group smiling and just splashing and walking through creeks. So that's what I do. I need to let just the world, let them see that, hey, this is what we do. This is what I do in order to enjoy my recovery.
And you share.
Yes. There's no way you could have told me when I first got clean that I would be doing hiking. Okay. And because I started doing hiking, this young lady right here, I don't know if y'all can see her.
Oh, we love you, man. You've got a seat at this table and you can drop in anytime. Monty, can you just give us a shout out for your Facebook page and your YouTube?
You know what? I will. I'm new to this and I'm trying to find.
Or he was.
Oh, we've lost you, Monty. Come back.
But just on that, I think we can get Monty's Facebook page and his YouTube clips out. But just with him talking about awareness and enlightenment.
See, if I touch something, I'm gonna mess it all up. So after we do this, you can best believe I'm going to share this on my page, because what you guys are doing, I love the fact that y'all not just one fellowship, that y'all talking about everything. It ain't just an AA, it's ain't about NA. This is just about recovery in the world that we live in. And I want to, I will be sharing this because we need to see this. And two, just for people to see over here in the States that people over there in England, that they do recover too, that they have drug addiction and alcoholism as well. And so as soon as I stop this, I'm going to be sharing on my page, and y'all will be getting shout outs and I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure that you guys get recognized, because I commend this right here.
Well, we look forward to the day when a few of us come over and spend a sabbatical in your living room with you and your lovely missus.
Yes.
Just come over and do a hike down a creek with you.
Yeah. Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
still, you know, getting you guys to come over here and spend some time with us, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
You know what? I think you just gave me my name for my little hiking crew.
Yeah.
Instead of up Chicks Creek, up the creek with Monty B.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've been trying to come up with a name.
That can happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Yeah. Let's just bring in, because she was just talking so much about awakeness and enlightenment. Can we just bring in our not so sinister minister, Mr. Mick Fleming, and give us the word of the week, Mick?
I will do. So I'm just kind of thinking, there's a little bit in the Bible from John where it says, the truth will set you free. And I think we're living in a world of mistruths and misinformation. So I kind of think on that basis, I'm just going to tell a little story and then just stick a little bit on the end. So there's a guy and he goes over to India and he sees this huge elephant and it's tied with a little piece of string just around one of its legs. And he says to the owner of the elephant, he said, why does it not just do one? Why does it not just disappear? Why is that little piece of string? He said he could just flick it off. He went, he said, this is what we do. He said, we get them when they're babies. So we put a big, massive chain around its leg. He said, and we tie it to a post, and it struggles and it can't get free. He says, and then as it gets a little bit older, he said, we make the chain a bit smaller and a bit smaller. And it stops fighting. And then what it does, we put a piece of string around its leg, and it thinks it's still trapped. And it stops trying to break free. Now that string around that elephant's leg keeps it stuck. What's the truth in your life? What's the string around your leg? Is it your past? Is it the abuse? Is it the anger? Is it the lies you've been told? Is it something that just deep down inside just holds you down? The devil comes to lie and to steal. So the evil of the world is a lie. Remember, at any point, you can break that string. You can move into recovery. You can move into freedom. You can experience love like you've never experienced it before. But you've got to break the string. It's not a real chain. If you believe it's a chain, you'll be stuck for the rest of your life. What's your truth deep down inside? Break free. Feel that love and move forward. That's the way. And that is the word of the day.
Amen.
Thank you very much. And God bless you all. All the best. The not so sinister minister today, the Vicar of Sicker. I think that's where we're at today.
I'm loving your attire, Mick.
Thank you very much. I've got the tracksuit on and I've got the dog collar on. I've got the missus with me today. Missus, come here.
Sarah, is it Sarah?
Yeah, I've got the Sarah. Sarah's here today.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, I've not seen you for ages.
Oh, it's been a long time, hasn't it?
Clean and serene. Clean and serene. How long?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years. Wow, God, this is where this grey's coming from, you see, Sarah.
That's it. Yeah. Swap.
Oh, well in, girl. Well in, honey. Great to see you. Oh, she looks amazing.
She's doing all right, and she's a very lucky woman. Stop it.
It's okay.
So, thank you. I'm gonna go because I only get 1 day a week with her. So, and it's today. So I'm gonna let her take me out and get me a brew somewhere along the way. So
we love you, Mrs. Sarah. And thank you for coming on and enlightening us, Mick. I know that there's a lot of people out there who've got a lot of love for you, and it's so great that you come back week after week to land the message. Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't be trapped. Just remember, don't be trapped. It's a lie. It's a piece of string. It's not a chain. Don't believe the lie.
Don't believe the lie. Don't believe the lie, and love is the answer. That's what I'm getting from tonight.
Always.
Woo!
If you read anything today and you want to pick a Bible up, 1 Corinthians 13, just do it. Take it easy. 1 Corinthians 13. It's a beautiful thing. You can't own it, but it's yours.
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks, Mick.
Cheers.
We love you.
So, with that, I've got a speaker who's going to share his story.
Absolutely.
And he's been waiting really patiently to do that.
It's quite right and correct that Brian comes in now.
Welcome to the Live LUF Lounge.
Thank you very much, guys. Wow. I could switch off my computer now and go away blessed and really encouraged tonight. But I won't, because that would be rude. It's interesting that what Mick's just said, because I was going to start with some similar sort of anecdote about fleas in a jar and that get conditioned to hitting their heads on the lid and therefore jump just below the height of the lid, even when you remove the lid. But Mick's just taken that point and driven it on with the elephant and a string. But my experience of the reality of that is what I'll share with you to start off with. And I just wanted to say, we've talked about the 12 steps and the fellowship and other avenues of recovery are available. And I would not advocate one over the other. What I would say to anybody who's listening, who's probably looking at a smorgasbord of different ways of whether it's a super spiritual one or it's something else, or it's 12 steps, or it's celebrate recovery, or it's a therapeutic community. It doesn't matter what you throw at your addiction. Throw everything, and whatever sticks, throw more of that, because addiction and recovery are both an individual thing. And what works for me may not necessarily work for you. So don't fall into a trap of there's one way of doing it, because there wasn't one way you became an addict, and there won't be one way that you become free from addiction. So I just wanted to say that. So I spoke to Emma Daggers for the first time today, having known her name and Peter's name for about 6.5 years since I left rehab nearly 7 years ago. And I think it's right that I haven't reached out to Emma or Peter until now, because this message seems to fit where I'm at, where the world's at, and what is really heavy on my heart to share. So Emma lives in Leyland, and Leyland was my stomping ground before rehab, and Preston was my stomping ground where I did my real stomping, where I walked around playing the big spuds with a gun and running brothels, organised crime, selling 85% of the drugs that were sold in Preston back in the mid-90s had to go through me and my firm. So it's quite interesting when I realised that the location of the person was so close to home, as it were. Although I don't consider it home anymore, because, it's just nothing but negativity for me. But that negativity doesn't hold me in a way that it did. So I grew up in Penwitham, and what was happening at home was my dad was quite an abusive sexual predator who was sexually abusing my siblings, bringing men in from the street to watch them have sex with my mum while he got off his head on sleeping tablets, his own addiction, some Amatrax sleeping tablets. He was quite a sinister guy. But with that sinister side comes a charismatic side, an ability to draw you in and make you feel like the most important person on the planet as he's sharing with you. And when I was 3 years old, my dad had given me some of these tablets to subdue me so that he could abuse me. And what happened was that he gave me too many. I was rushed to hospital, nearly died, had my stomach pumped, which left my dad fearful of doing that. So I grew up thinking that my dad was the most wonderful human being on the planet, that all these lies that were being told were just poisonous, because I worshipped my dad and blamed my mum. I thought my mum was just promiscuous and my dad was wonderful and he was putting up with her. And it was only in rehab 7 years ago that the tables turned. My dad went to prison. He's 84, he's in prison now and he will die in prison. And it came about that my mum, her promiscuity was forced by my dad, if that makes sense. So I came home as a 6-year-old boy once to Penwitham, and the fire engines were there. My mum had had a nervous breakdown because of the abuse, and she'd gone around the house setting fires. And my dog Ben, who was my confidant, the person the thing I came home and shared all my secrets and told him which teacher I fancy at primary school. He was asleep under the stairs, so he died in the fire. My clothes went in the fire, my toys went in the fire, my room went in the fire. We had to move house. My mum was sent to Risler Remand Centre for 6 months for arson, and we moved away. So on that day, as a 6-year-old boy, everything that made me, everything that I'd wrapped my identity up in, that I'd hung myself on, was snatched away. And I went into a process of thinking, wow, I've been hurt, I'm 6, and you know, everything that I think is real about the world has just been taken away. And then a couple of times at primary school, a new primary school, I knocked a dinner lady over a banister for being abusive towards me and fractured her skull. Then we tipped, me and another boy when I was 8, tipped a teacher out of his window and put him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And both of them events ended with me being told by the person expelling me that I was twisted, I was sick, I was evil, that I would never be anything but bad. Then as an 8-year-old, I went to boarding school, and the boarding school that was chosen for me was in Rochdale, and it was the boarding school where Cyril Smith would frequent and bring boys out of the beds in the early hours of the morning and sexually abuse them, or the staff would sexually abuse you, or you would go out in minibuses and be taken up to upper rooms where men in business suits would auction you off. So I said 2,190 days is 6 years. And from the age of 8 to the age of 14, that was my reality, a 6-year period of systemic sexual, physical, emotional, and spiritual abuse, which left me as a 14-year-old boy reeling in anger and just thinking, right, this world is nothing but bad. And I was told so often that I was bad at being good. So as a young man, I decided if I'm bad at being good, I will get good at being bad. I was in boarding school for 6 years, which meant I had to be able to defend myself. I had to be able to fight. I had to learn the art of physical violence. And I learned that art, and I learned to go one further than the next man. So years passed and I joined the army and all sorts of stuff that didn't work. Then when my wife got pregnant with my first child, the first person I'd let into my life on an emotional level was then when my son was born, taken away from me, and I became jealous and resentful of my son. And that's when I went searching and found heroin. And the first time I tried heroin, it took everything away. It took the pain of the past away. It took the fear of the future away. It took the situation that I was in, the guilt, the shame of the present away. And it was like a warm blanket. And so I went into a series of just smoking heroin and then started injecting heroin. And when I was about 26, I remember buying my first gun from a guy in Croxteth in Liverpool for 180 quid. It was a German World War II Luger. And I was sitting around a coffee table, smoking crack cocaine, waving this gun around, thinking I'd found my identity. And the guy whose firm I was working for at the time took the gun off me, stuck it to the back of my leg and shot me through the knee with my own gun. And then proceeded to tell me some really wise, sage advice about don't pull your gun out unless you're going to shoot it. But all I could do was in a very high-pitched voice remind him that he just shot me and I was bleeding, and you've just shot me. And it's quite funny when I tell this at other events, because that's the first time I got shot and it was with my own gun, and the second time I got shot was with my own gun. So proper gangster. The guy whose firm it was 3 weeks later got shot in the head by a rival drug gang from London and was killed. And I gravitated to his position and just thought that was it. That was my lot in life. That was my identity. Everything that had been snatched away years earlier had now fallen into place. And the hand that I'd been dealt was the hand that I was going to play with. It was the hand that was the person that would walk into a room and people would know I'd be willing to go further than they would. I ended up stabbed 3 times. I got shot in the back running away from my own gun when a yardie wrestled it from me, and I thought, oops, and I jumped over a fence and got it just behind my heart, and it luckily hit my rib. So I would have been dead. Then I went on the run. I'd been shot. I'd lost a hip through injecting anthrax, heroin contaminated with anthrax. I didn't go out and buy anthrax. I was not that extreme. It wasn't that the heroin wasn't doing it for me anymore, and I needed something with a bit more kick. There was some contaminated heroin that I'd taken. So with 2 bullet wounds, a few stab wounds, and a limp, I realized that I can't be the guy that I thought I was. So I went on the run. I spent 7 months in a squat in Avonham. I didn't eat. I went down to 4.5 stone. I was 27, 28. I went down to 4.5 stone and was given 3 days to live in hospital. I was pulling tubes out of myself, saying, let me die, let me die. Cut a long story short, I didn't die. Surprise, surprise. Spoiler alert. And I'm certainly not 4.5 stone anymore. But I got a second chance. But when I left hospital, as with every other time that I'd left hospital, I went and scored. There was nothing I could hang a recovery on. People say, how many rock bottoms did it take to get you recovered? It's not about rock bottom. Rock bottom will not get you out of addiction. It's got to be self-worth. It's got to be visualizing yourself as worthy of something better than you've become. So I spent 2 years then begging on the streets of Preston. I'd gone from running the streets to sitting on the streets and trying to get a tenner together for a bag. I was covered in abscesses. I hadn't seen my 3 children by now. I hadn't seen my 3 children for years, apart from once when they walked past me with the mum and didn't recognize me. I was living behind a skip. I was eating the scraps out of the bin. I'd got as low as it could possibly get. And then one night I saw a friend of mine, Simon, sitting across the road begging on a Friday night. 4 guys approached him out of a nightclub, doused him in petrol, in lighter fluid, and set him on fire. And I sat in the doorway opposite, and I watched my friend, and I heard my friend burn to death. And I was too scared to go out and to do anything for fear I would be next. And it was that week that I decided, you know what, I've had enough of this. The world's got no use for me. I'm no good for the world. People walking past me on the street, spitting at me, kicking me, punching me, telling me I was worthless, confirmed that. So I turned to get my blanket to go behind the skip and take my own life. And a street pastor appeared, a lady called Jude. And I'd become a Christian like 8 years before this and gone through the motions of, like nice moral way of living and the nice people, and they serve a cup of tea after the service. And I'd become a Christian on the back of Barry Woodward, who's an ex-addict evangelist from Manchester. He's a bit mental, Barry, a good friend of mine. And she said to me this, she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, God's called you to better than this. And immediately all feelings of suicide left. And I started to see, maybe I should be proactive in that better. Maybe I can't sit there and just anticipate that this better life is going to come free with, like a voucher. It's not going to be given to me. It's not going to be something that I'll just pick up from the petrol station when I get my next litre of fuel. Maybe I have to be proactive in that. And and I set about on a journey. In that journey, I went to church. I went to what is now Crossgate Church, which was at the time Longton Community Church, good old Pastor Ron. And I was wearing my suit and doing my car parking and playing the good Christian, working in the coffee team. And this church met twice on a Sunday, 300 people per service in a school hall in Penwortham, back to Penwortham. And I was 80 pence a coffee. So I was doing the maths, 60 quid, do my church stuff, rob 60 quid from the church, go and score in the afternoon and sit there with these other addicts thinking I was a better class of addicts because I'd stopped injecting because I had no veins left, and I'd been to church. So, you know, I'm sitting there paying for these drugs with church's money. The church found out, and Ron called me into an office after one service on a Sunday and told me that he knew. And I was like, my gangster came up, my criminal came up. Right, well, come on then. What are you going to do about it? Get the police. I don't care. I'll go to prison again. And Ron just started to cry. And he said, Brian, I'm so sorry I put you in that position. And just experiencing that grace, that love, that compassion from that man caused me to be so convicted, more than any judge could have done for me. It was his reaction to me that caused me to second guess myself and start thinking, you know what, I need to change who I am. And I started to sense that I needed to make a decision. I was either a drug addict or I was a Christian. I couldn't sit on the fence. There was no neutrality with this anymore. There was the only thing the fence was going to do for me was give me splinters in my backside, and I'd had enough of them. So I felt prompted to go to rehab. Now, I knew that rehab meant opening doors on so much sexual abuse that I didn't want to go there. I knew that going to rehab meant like bringing up all the stuff from my childhood, all the guilt around my own kids. But I went anyway. Back in January 2013, I went to Littledale Hall and I did my treatment there. And it was a therapeutic community where the onus was on taking ownership. You know, I couldn't hide. They wouldn't let me hide behind my upbringing. They wouldn't let me hide. They would say, yeah, well, that may have happened, but you still chose how you reacted to that. And I couldn't get my head around that. I thought, you know, I needed stroking. I needed telling it wasn't my fault. But I don't think that would have helped me. I don't think if they'd have said, it's okay, Brian, Jesus loves you, you crack on, then I'd have been dead behind a skip. I've since leaving rehab. I mean, Monty was saying about staying out of a relationship for a year. I broke that rule 3.5 months after leaving. I married one of the leaders of the local church that I'd been going to. I'm now on the leadership of that local church. We've been married just over 6 years. Lovely, wonderful, but I married up. I mean, all men marry up because women are twice refined. But I married up in class, you know, and I found myself in the first couple of years thinking, what am I doing with this woman? You know, it's so unequal, I felt, and it was all still my own journey of self-worth and self-discovery and establishing the new me. And I want to just finish really with, you know, I've got certificates. I've started my own organisation, which is a community interest company looking at helping guys slow down that transition from rehab to society, because it is not easy to just jump out of addiction into a bubble of rehab and then into the world and be an asset to a community that you once drained to its dregs. But we've been talking about Black Lives Matter. And, you know, I didn't even think my life mattered back in the day. And now I see my life matters, not just to me, not just the fact that I'm coming up to 20 years that I shouldn't have had. In August, I'll be 20 years after the 3 days that I was given. But my life might matter to somebody else. My life might matter. I might have learned something on my journey of pain, trauma, addiction, recovery that somebody else needs. And when you start to see your addiction and your recovery in them terms, that maybe it's time served, work experience, apprenticeship of life, I've just got a job at Langley House Trust, which is an organisation that supports serious offenders live without re-offending, murderers and such. And when I presented them with my 8-page DBS and said, this is who I am, they saw it as a strength. There are jobs out there that this stuff can be beneficial to. And I was telling Emma earlier, I have a covering letter that I send out with my CV, which is so unapologetically proud of my addiction. And I get people have got, you know, various opinions on this. Should I disclose everything? Should I not? My letter basically says that the gaps in my employment history can be explained by the fact that I spent 16 years battling with addiction to heroin and other hard drugs. And if you can't see the strength it's taken to get me from where I was to the person I am today, then I have no interest in coming and working for your company anyway. And I will get an interview on the back of that letter just out of sheer morbid curiosity quite often. The sinister minister, or not so sinister minister, and Monty alluded to John 10:10 from the Bible. It says that the thief comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But there's a second part to that word. It says, but I have come that you may have life and have it abundantly. Now, I've been on the side of steal, killing, and destroying. I've had things stolen from me, my identity. I've had things killed from me, my dreams. And I've had things destroyed, my relationships. Now I seek after proactively the second part of that scripture. I want the abundance. And I think only by living in that abundance, in that freedom, in that recovered, that, you know, people believe what they see more than they believe what they hear. So for us to use our experiences of addiction and recovery, we need to be walking out that freedom which we've been discussing. We need to be walking out, look, I am free. You can talk to me about sexual abuse all day long. My dad is about to die in Norwich prison. He's got dementia, which is probably a plus because he thinks he's in a nursing home. But that's okay. I can talk about all of that stuff now because it no longer holds me in a place that it did, because of process, because of dealing with it, and because of facing up to it. And I'm going to shut up there because I will go on. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Love getting a lot of reactions online. So I'm going to come to Glenn in a minute, but I just want to shout out as well to, firstly, I want a copy of that letter.
Change the name.
Put it in your book. Yeah. Just write a book and put that letter in your book.
Just bringing me to my next point. What's your book called, Brian?
I'm not plugging. There's a book out which my story's in. You can't call it my book. There's 12 testimonies in there of people that have come from drug and crime into lives now where they help other people. It's called Fixed Lives. You get it for about 40p online, I think, which means my life story is worth about 7 pence.
Wow.
I think definitely moving forward, there's some relationship building we can do together. Absolutely. Massive shout out to Crossgate Church. I love Rob, I love Ben, I love Jen, I love Steve. They're amazing people doing some, you know, move there in Preston now. They've got Crossgate across from the prison. And I'm kind of hearing there as well. Again, it's about, you know, some people that aren't able to get access to this digital platform that we need to be visible to, getting out there, which is a 180 back to what I said at the start about we have a duty to be visible to people that, you know, we can give the hope shot to for people that are in the dark.
On that tip, I've just had an idea, and anytime I get an idea, my concept is ideas are for free. Let's share them. But I am putting energy behind this one because I do believe in it. I would like to invite you onto a new show that we haven't started yet, which is going to be a podcast in which we look at chime model. So let's drill down into the difference that made the difference, and tie it into the chime model. What were the connections? What was the circumstances that led to you having hope? How did the identity change? How did you get meaning and empowered? Drill into that on a podcast. So I'm going to buy 3 microphones, because as ever, there's, the idea is there's other people out there who can do it, and we'll support you to do it. There's plenty of this to go around, man.
There is.
And we'll look at how we can potentially monetize that, what stream we use to air it, what platform we choose. Some platforms require a percentage, because they'll push the marketing on it, and they get a percentage of. We'll have a look at it, and I just think
it's definitely worth moving forward.
I agree, Brian. It's a timely connection. Thanks to Lindsay. Big shout out to Lindsay.
Lindsay,
for establishing that connection.
And Lindsay's going to step up soon anyway, and get involved and be visible.
Absolutely. And
what's that podcast called, Peter?
Hey, I don't know. We could probably nick Monty's and say up the creek, but this time with a paddle.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. But also as well, and I know you were talking about the men ex-offenders, transitioning from the establishment to community. I just think there's something in there for the women as well.
Yes, definitely. I said to you earlier, 2 of my sisters were in the thick of it with me, and my heart is that these girls they need strong women that have overcome to speak into and walk with them, not just speak it, but people need walking alongside. It's no good me just going in a nice whistle and flute and going up Lancaster and saying to somebody in a doorway, "Oh, Jesus loves you, you'll be all right," and then going off and having a £3 coffee. There's no witnessing that. That's just me spouting some clever little words. If I go and sit down, and I've done this in Preston, if I go and sit down in my nice suit and eat dinner with that guy, then he feels important. And you know what? It's not. When I was on the streets, it was never about trying to get a tenner. It was fundamentally, let's but more importantly, it was about somebody stopping and acknowledging you as a human being. Somebody saying, "Are you okay? Tell me your story." And the money was secondary. The food, the coffee, whatever they bought you was secondary. It was somebody just treating you like a person.
There's because it's relevant. We've mentioned the Bible a couple of times tonight, but there was a character in the Bible, the one that mashed up Goliath.
David.
David. And there was a story where I think it might have been the Egyptians or the Philistines, or someone had raided his camp, and he'd robbed all his resources, and they set off in pursuit of these thieves. And as I'm visualizing, because I think a lot in pictures, I'm picturing, well, how do you track them down in a desert, or the land's big, isn't it? How do you find them? And they come across a man who's naked, just a bum on the side of the road, and he stops and he serves him up with a bite to eat. And because he does that, this guy then says to him, "I know who you are, and I know what you're after. In fact, I know who you're after, and more importantly, I know where they are." And he tells him, and I just think, he could have been single-minded in his pursuit of, getting his resources back, but he put his own needs aside, and he said, "I'm going to meet your needs because I've spotted that you might need a bite to eat, and I'm going to serve." And because he did that, this guy unlocked his future, his destiny. And I think sometimes it's not hard, is it, to spot a need and say, right, I'm just going to meet that need.
Yeah, definitely.
Just on that, Brian, you've got a lot of movement, so the nest is stirring in the community. Can I just kick it over to Glenn for the comments, Glenn?
Yeah, just want to say, well done, Brian. It was really powerful, and you've touched quite a lot of people out there. So I just wanted to. So firstly, I've got a couple of comments, and then I want to read this message out from Leanne because I think it's really powerful and important that I read it. So Lindsay said that she knows you, but even though she knows your story, she's still in there in tears. So well done.
She's always in tears.
Dan Littlechild said that he met you at Littledale, should I say. You're an amazing man. And this is the bit that I want to read out from Leanne. And on this note, I want people to like and share because this is how powerful it is and it reaches the wider community and it can touch somebody that maybe need support. So I'm just going to read this out. So this is from Leanne Murray. Crying my eyes out, can really relate to what you're saying. You put up a fight, I begin to fight the world because I believe that everyone is against me. My violence was just fighting and getting into trouble with the police. Pushing everyone around me, I turned to alcohol and your strength is amazing. My question to you is where do you find your strength to carry on? I can't forget, which is where the drink comes in. How do you find out distraction from your thoughts, the past and the alcohol and drugs? I've also self-harmed and tried to take my own life. I feel stuck and trapped. How do you become free?
Wow. Firstly, hook up with me on Facebook because this is a longer conversation than a 1 minute throwaway answer with a few clever words. And I'd rather walk out some sort of developing relationship with her than just spit some wisdom at a screen. What I will say is that, biblically speaking, the Bible says that God's strength is made perfect in my weakness. So when I admit that I'm weak, that's when I'm at my strongest. When I admit that I'm vulnerable, and it's harder for men, not to puff the chest out and be like, sexual abuse as a kid, I'm over that. Being vulnerable is where power lies. And realizing that there's nothing I can do about things that have already happened. I'm not that powerful. And I have to be free. I have to put them things down. And it's not like I've just recounted some of my background and my painful stuff like it was a shopping list that I'd written from Sainsbury's. Have you heard me? Sainsbury's, it used to be Lidl. I forgot my roots. I've just got no emotional attachment to that, in that it doesn't drag me down. I'm still emotionally attached to it and it's still painful. But I suppose for me, the way I take the power out of it is I redirect that power to people like Leanne, to people like that I want to help, because I want people to see that there is hope. That hope is a proactive thing. Hope is a mode of transport. It's not something that just falls into your lap one day. It's something that you have to daily walk in. And like any muscle that you exercise, eventually it becomes second nature. It becomes muscle memory, if you will. So, Leanne, get involved. Get in touch with me on Facebook. I will share something with you in a longer platform. But thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Glenn, can you hook that up? Can you make sure that happens with Leanne?
Yeah, I can sort that out. If Leanne contacts me, and we'll sort that out. No problem. Also, just a bit touch on Crossgate. I know that we've got Harry from Crossgate watching, so
Harry in the house.
big up to Harry. Yeah.
Sorry, Glenn. I should mute myself, shouldn't I?
If you're going off to Ron now, going, I know a guy who robbed your church.
Oh, just on that, I must say, I was telling you, wasn't I, Pete, before about how Ron handled that situation, and it wasn't to punish you.
No.
And that's a beautiful thing, because that's where the change happened, isn't it? That's where it dropped on you.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Love that.
I was all geared up for the things that had happened before when I'd committed crime, and he wrong-footed me with his love. And yeah.
Leanne said, thank you very much.
Also,
Yeah.
thank you, Glenn. Also, David Brown, he was empowered by you on every Sunday at Brookhouse Church.
Come on.
The house. And also Jill, yes, Jill is saying that there does need to be some more support for women. I totally agree. We had this conversation before, didn't we, Brian? So if there is any,
we're on it. We are on it.
if there is any philanthropists out there, then I need a house.
We just need to win the lottery. I would be dangerous with money. I'd have all sorts of stuff. I wanted to buy Skirton School and have a full-on development centre where you come in broken and go out professional.
I love it, but nothing is impossible. Nothing.
No.
There's definitely more conversations for us to have together and build some relationships and
definitely
short as hope dealers there.
Brilliant.
But yes, Jill, I hear you. Let's hook up. And on that, is there anything else, Glenn, from our community, our wonderful, beautiful community?
We've got a comment from Adele Forshaw. So emotional listening to your story. You're truly inspirational. Your strength is incredible and you've overcome so many things. All the best for the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You touched a lot of people, mate.
Yeah. And I want to say we've got a new post in Red Rose Recovery called a Brick Coordinator. And that post will be live and direct helping newly formed community interest companies, rhyming business, and there's a pot of money that poster has a remit to like make sure it gets to where it needs to be. And you know, that's the beautiful thing about us having a voice, because we can make the changes, we can be the changes we want to see. Brian, I love the idea of catching hold of, you know, high risk offenders and you know, setting them on a different trajectory, because they can become just as you know, productive.
The gift.
When the gift. You know, they are
not problems,
but they don't come as shiny pennies, do they?
Nope.
They need an academy. They need something to help them become what they was always intended to be.
And
chickens and the eagles, innit?
We were saying about chickens and eagles before. Yeah, we were saying that, you know, in my addiction, I was spending £80 a day when I only got £70 a week, and that level of entrepreneurship is dangerous in the right hands, in the right direction. Alan Sugar better move aside. If addicts start putting their skills and their commitment to drive into something positive and professional, then we're taking over the world.
Think big, Brian. Think big.
No, absolutely.
Always.
This is it. The academy again. It's like so live, isn't it?
But I know people who will get behind us on things like that. It'll excite them, and they've got resources, and they can make shit happen.
Yeah. Well, I just need to speak with Chris Lee now, and
absolutely.
Tell him he needs to look again at my planning application for this farmhouse.
Yes, Chris, that one's for you. And thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
More power to you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, guys. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. From Lancaster to Lancaster, then, isn't it?
Go on. Lancaster representing.
Andrew.
Well, there's already some great work going on in Lancaster, isn't there?
So should we hear about what all that's about? Right?
Part
two of Lancaster in the house.
We got them on last week. They had such a fantastic experience.
Yeah, they did.
They've come back to tell us again. And
Alex,
I'm just going to unmute them first.
We had to mute you, Alex and Andrew, because of there was some sound distortion. So
yeah,
you're now unmuted. So we left off last week with Alex's story.
Tell your gaffer to get you some decent equipment, a decent laptop with decent sound.
That's a decent laptop. It works all right when
we can hardly
facilitators gets it right.
You look a bit like frosty and blurry, don't they?
Well, that's probably the light.
Give your webcam a clean. Get give your little webcam a wipe over.
Oh. So Alex, you was talking about some of your story last week, but Andrew didn't get a word in, did you, Andrew, love?
Unfortunately not, no.
Tell us what you're doing over there, Andrew.
Okay, well, first, like I said, you know, there's been some very profound, thought-provoking things, talked about today. And I sort of forgotten why I was here for a while. So, yeah. Just a bit about me first, I suppose. I was in active addiction for 25 years. Half of that was spent as a high functioning addict, and half of it was spent in the opposite way. But probably not in the latter half was spent high functioning, not the first half. I got into recovery in 2013. I did my recovery. I went into supported housing in Halifax, and I did a program at the basement. And I moved back to Lancaster about 18 months later. I've been working for Acorn since I moved back to Lancaster. I initially worked at Waltline House, and now I work at Old Cliff House. So Old Cliff House is an 8-bedroom supported housing project. We also have another property around the corner called Portland Street, which is 4-bedroom. All our referrals come through Lancaster City Council. The initial referral could come from prisons, from shelter, from even from self, just referring yourself to the council. All our actual referrals come through Lancaster City Council. We have a relatively short time to work with people, typically about 3 months. So we work with a whole range of people, because I know often people just see homelessness as the people on the street, but there's a lot of other homeless people as well, the hidden homeless. So we work with all kinds of people. We work with people who come off the street who are very chaotic, multiple complex needs, but we also work with people who might be homeless because the relationship's broken down, or they're working for an agency month to month, they lost a job, so they lost their accommodation, and they might not have any more needs and just finding permanent housing. So we work with a lot of different kinds of people. As I say, it's quite a short turnaround. It'd be nice with some people to be able to work with them longer and to be able to sort of offer more in terms of long-term support, but we can't do that right at the moment. We've been open about 18 months at Old Cliff, and in that time we have housed 74 people. One of those went into a detox this week. A couple have gone to other supported housing projects. A couple have gone to live with family. But the rest, the vast majority, have all found we've got them into their own tenancies. And as far as I'm aware, the vast majority of those are still in their tenancies. We are looking at more support for people who've moved on, who are struggling, to ensure that they can maintain those tenancies and that they're just not going around the system again. What sort of things do? We've got life skills, what life skills people have. So it could be around budgeting, it could be just around personal hygiene, it could be about paying bills, it could be about general household awareness and how to look after a household, how to maintain your tenancy. We refer to tenancy ready training. We have weekly key work sessions. That's the sort of nuts and bolts of it. We refer and signpost to, if somebody needs mental health support, we'll liaise with mental health, we'll support their referral. Same around addiction, the same around if they need counselling for anything. But our major purpose is just housing support find people somewhere to live. We also run a self-service. It's not been on whilst the because of the coronavirus issue. Started that last year, and we had 303 people stay in about 12 months. That's not 303 different people, but 303 nights somebody slept in our lounge who would have been on the street otherwise.
Brilliant.
We would like to work with more people. Some people don't want to engage. You know, I know from active addiction, sometimes you're not ready for that. You're not ready for the help that's on offer. I understand as well that some people's lifestyles, they don't want rules and they don't want curfews. And unfortunately, we have to have those things. But we are hoping, you know, that we can reach out to more people, and that when the COVID-19 issues over, that we can expand on the things we offer and on working with other people in Lancaster. I was talking to someone the other day, and they didn't know what we did. They thought that we were just a rehab, which we're not. But you know, it's interesting to know that people don't know what we're doing. So I think we need to focus on letting people know exactly what it is we do and how we can engage with them and them with us.
How do you send out to Walter Lane House then? How do you refer someone in?
If somebody came to us, so I can give you a couple of examples. So as a guy who came to us who was released from prison, and Shelter had done his referral through the council, and he come to us and he stayed with us. He'd had addiction problems for many years. He got clean whilst he was in prison, and he was concerned that he was, you know, that without the right support that he'd go back to his old lifestyle. Walter Lane House is abstinence based, so because he was clean, we were able to you know, talk to Walter Lane House and say, no, this guy would be perfect for you. You know, did a referral, he went for an assessment, and then he moved in there. He was there for a while and moved into his own place, and as far as I'm aware, still doing really well. And there's another guy who came to us just before Christmas who had an active drug problem, but it wasn't that he needed a detox or anything. So he stayed with us for a while. He was still sort of struggling, you know, being like a payday junkie type thing. But because he wasn't on, you know, he wasn't on script or he wasn't dependent on anything, we looked at getting him referred to Walter Lane House. Obviously, you know, they're testing there, and that's focused. He's on recovery there, and he moved in. He's still there now. So those are two examples of how we would do that. At present, someone to be referred there they would need to be clean, really, or on the cusp of that. You know, you can allow, you know, people are still testing positive for benzos or for marijuana because it can take, you know, weeks to get out.
Yeah.
But generally, that would be the pathway. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I'm just conscious of time, and Glenn's got to do the draw yet. So, Alex and Andrew, if you had a main message for people watching now, what would that be? We can come back to you if you like.
Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself.
I'm going to go to what Mika was talking about with the Black Lives Matter, because that's probably the most important thing in my mind at the moment.
Okay.
And about social media and people stepping up and showing that they're angry about what's going on. If every single person that sits watching the telly that's angry about what they've seen gets up and does something, things might change. Things don't change because people just get angry and do nothing about it. So get on Facebook, stop looking at people's dinners, and click on the protest things.
Oh, thanks.
That'll be my message.
Right, thank you. It's about putting it into action, isn't it? So just on that, Miki, can I bring you in before I bring Glenn in for the draw?
Yeah, of course.
Round us up on community, my darling.
Of course. Yeah, so as everyone's been saying, as I've said before, as Oscar said, of everyone else has said, you know, stepping up, showing your anger, creating change within your own community. So that's, as we said, going to the protests, showing online on social media, as we've just said, keeping that sense of community. So being open and honest with each other, having the necessary conversations that we need to have about Black Lives Matter, obviously about addiction and recovery. You need to have these open and honest conversations, and you need to stay connected with people in your community, offering support, being there to open up the space for other people to have their conversations.
In a loving way, that is, isn't it, Mika?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. As I think someone said before as well, like, love is everything. We need love right now. We need that connection, definitely.
Brilliant.
Thank you, love.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glenn, can we have you to give us an update on where we're at with the competition?
And the comments.
And, you know, comments. And guys, hit the like and share button again. You know, if you're watching this on later on in the evening or tomorrow, hit that share button, because next week you'll go in a competition. Is that right, Glenn?
It is, yeah. So this £20 voucher that has been donated by formerly known as Young at Action, donated from last week's show, Claire Helm-Fawcett. So thank you, Claire. Big shout out to Claire. We've got our own voucher that we're going to be giving away, £20, and also a sweet box. So the way that we do it is, the easiest way we've learned how to do it is that when you like it, we put everyone that's liked it into a live draw on a name generator, which I'm going to do live in a minute, and then it'll pick the winner out, and that person will get the £40 worth of vouchers and also the sweet box.
It's everyone who likes, share. There's all in this, so like, share, and comment, and we just hit all, don't we, and grab all them names and just pull it into this generator, this competition generator. That's how. Can you do that live on air?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But what I'll say before I do that is that whoever likes and shares it this week will then go into next week's draw. So a big shout out to anyone who wants to donate anything towards the winner, along with our £20 voucher. It'd be gladly appreciated. So
if someone wants to get behind this platform and help us to encourage people to like and share, they can make a donation, can they?
Yeah, they can. They can, and it'll go out to the winner and to people that in the community. So it's a great cause. So I'd advise anybody to dip into the budgets or pockets or whatever you want to.
It's a great concept, isn't it? If we can get it through you, we'll get it to you.
Yeah. So I'm going to do this live. You'll have to bear with me. It's the first time I've done it. So I've been practicing all day, all weekend, trying to get it right. If it goes wrong.
Go for it. Enjoy it, Glenn.
If you mess it up, we will cut this clip out and we will do a meme on you on social media.
It's love. It's real. It's genuine. So if it goes wrong, so what? So what?
I love your hair.
I kind of like the lopsidedness myself.
I love it.
So here we go, guys. So good luck to everybody who entered and liked and share. And like I said, like and share today for next week's draw. And you've got all week to like and share. So we'll do it up until Wednesday night. You've got up until to do it. And then we'll get all them names into the app. So here goes, people.
Drum roll, please.
Can everyone see that?
Hey!
Yeah!
So everybody's names who liked and share are in that wheel. So here goes. Good luck, guys.
It's working.
David McLaughlin!
Oh, David McLaughlin.
Right and proper.
You got 20 quid, my love.
40.
40.
And a sweet box.
Yes, David McLaughlin.
Do you know, honestly, I knew he was going to win it.
Did you?
I did. And I was going to say, there's David McLaughlin.
Oh.
I seen his name and I willed it to happen. So, David, I think you should share them sweets with me.
Did that work, Streamline?
Well, I think it did, mate.
So big clap to me.
Yes, big clap to Glenn. Well done, Glenn. I'm visual there. We had visual.
Yeah, so
Sorry,
what would have happened if our names come up?
well, we liked and shared, but we're not involved. We're not allowed.
What?
I know what happens. So what we've said is that if anybody staff win it, they will donate it to someone.
Which I did that with David McCollum's daughter because of her amazing TikToks. Well done, well done, David. There's a lady called Barbara Potts who has commented. Babs, hi Babs. She's not heard from Inspire. She's been accepted as a volunteer at Preston Inspire and not answering messages from clients, all very worried. Any ideas as to what is happening? Clients are given the script and then not contacted until the next script. I need some answers, please. Okay, Barbara, I see you and I hear you. And we can get some clarity to you. You're on my radar. I know they are inundated. I know they are doing the scripts. Hats off to the staff at Inspire and Preston. I know they're going above and beyond. I was out there on Friday. As for volunteering, we can pick that up. I can get some answers there for you. Can you please send your contact details?
Because it's volunteer week, isn't it?
It is volunteer week.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. But I know that we do need, I know that we need in the Service User Lounge as well, we need some advocates. So there's loads of volunteering opportunities, Barbara. If you want to send us your contact details and we get you some answers, honey. Yes. So David McLaughlin.
So where would she send them contact details to?
So if you put to us, to Red Rose, to the voice of the service users. So if you're a volunteer and you want some answers, so I see you want some answers, get an email into either me, Glenn, because we're central, and that'll be Glenn or Emma at redroserecovery.org.uk.
Or there is another way. They can go onto the app or the website, and they can contact us that way. It'll go to admin and then it can get distributed to us.
So you've got a couple of solutions there, Barbara, and we can get you some answers, not a problem. And on that, I just want to say, Brian, is that a guitar behind you?
Yeah.
So, you know what's coming next, don't you, Brian?
No, I don't know which end to blow into.
Adam Chadwick can't make it. Massive shout out to Adam, who does come on and give us his time freely, along with other musicians that come on. But he sent his apologies tonight. So I'm noticing behind you is a guitar. Yeah. Brian, can you give us a tune?
No, I'm a preacher, not a worship leader.
Well,
I can play chords in sequence, and I'm quite happy doing so in my own company. Yes. But no, I just lose all integrity.
Okay, so
can you give us a tune, Emma?
If I had a guitar, I'd play C, C, G.
What about a cappella? Okay. You're a beautiful singer.
Am I?
You are, yeah.
Well, that's a no then, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we could do though is say you practice, and we'll wait for you to come and show us your developmental skills.
No pressure then. Yeah. Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah, it's a good idea that. And if you want to come on this live LUF Lounge,
anytime.
If you want to come on and sing a song, if you want to come on and share a poet, if you want to come on show people that you've got a skill and you want to have your voice heard, or and I know our guys are setting up a Red Rose Recovery's Got Talent, and you can win £100 for that.
Wow.
Yes, get in.
Now poetry I can do.
Have you got a poem on the top of your head, or it's on your heart?
Probably got one on my phone.
Yes.
Right, well, you've got a couple of minutes to get one ready, because I think every week we have either some music or we have some form of spoken word.
And I do think that goes out to the community, to our people as well. If you do want to come on and share your gifts with us, because you are a gift and we love you dearly, get in touch, come on and chill with us and hang out with us. Just want to say, Andrea Haywood says she loves listening to us lot. And Glenn, have you got any more messages for anybody?
Joe Duffield says, go on, Brian. Naz Rashid, well done, David. And Naz Rashid, well done, Glenn. So I had to read that one out. But I must say, David, if you can contact myself, because the voucher that we are with you donated, you can use it at a lot of retailers. They're not open, so you'll have to wait till 15th of June, maybe, but never mind. Or maybe online. But what I will say is the £20 voucher that Red Rose are gonna and LUF are gonna donate, it's one of your choice. So if you can contact me where you'd like the voucher from, then I can facilitate that.
And Mr. McLaughlin, you are responsible for, and Alex can testify this, because you trained Alex up to do the cinema, didn't you? So you know all about social media and things like that. When you get these vouchers, we would like a picture, please, so we can flash it up on the screen to say, look, you know, we're the real deal. I think as well, if you want to come on this platform, we've got a live document for the next 6-7 weeks going, haven't we, where the guys populated. So speak to any one of the Lancashire User Forum leadership team, any of the Red Rose recovery team leaders, or guys, and they'll get you on the live document.
And on that as well, I know you mentioned the Red Rose Recovery. Red Rose Recovery's got talent. If anybody wants to enter that competition, to give any of the Red Rose members a shout out, especially Bev, because I know the work. A big shout out to Bev. She's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes on this. So, and if anybody does want to donate, to contact myself or anyone at Red Rose for this platform.
And Joe Duffield is saying, we're on you, Joe. I know you write poems, but you're not coming on. But send one in and we can read it out if you will. Don't forget, guys.
Go on, Joe.
Yes, there is jobs coming up for somebody in the north as well.
We've got a team leader post, haven't we?
Yes.
So keep your eyes peeled. That's out there in the domain now. So if you're interested in finding a bit more about that, go on to the website. Because these opportunities, we've fought hard for these opportunities, and we've said they're coming to our community first and foremost. And lots of us, we struggle to get opportunities because, like you were saying before, Brian, society looks at our past history of the negative way we've led our life, and it doesn't necessarily see it as an asset, but we do.
And we want that letter off you, Brian.
I will forward it.
Brilliant. It's brilliant, that.
Can I just ask this one question from the community? Sue Amos Lewis saying that what's his name? Someone's had a stroke and he was a member. Let me find the message. You carry on and I'll find the message.
Well, do you know, it's like, again, Saturday night, 2 hours you guys have hung out with us.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate your time. And, for those people who are watching, who aren't tuning in live now, but watch it later on, we love you too. Hit the like and share button. Let's get this message out there. Let's get this. Let's have a voice and let it be heard.
And if you do want to come on, just let us know when you can. Brian, are you ready with that poem, sir?
Yes, I will furnish you with it now. Are you ready?
Very good. Yes. Thank you.
This is the poem I wrote while I was in treatment in Littledale Hall. It's called Addiction Farewell. Thought it was a bit apt. You lied to me, addiction. You said I could not cope. You told me I was no good and that there was no hope, that I could never break free. I'd forever be your slave. You would always be there with me till I was in my grave. You told me I was worthless and you filled me with self-doubt. You said that from your clutches there was only one way out. You made me feel broken, like I'd never be complete. And you took away the pain and shame, so I fell down at your feet. At first you were a comfort, like a warm protective shield. But it wasn't very long before your true purpose was revealed. You took it all away from me, everything that I once had, my health, my love, my happiness, and being a loving dad. I quickly grew to hate you, but you had me in your chains. I just could not even function until I had you in my veins. I became so dependent on you and never thought I would be free. It felt like I was in over my head and you had your hold on me. But then one day I found that strength and I told you then no more. I grabbed you by the scruff of the neck and I showed you the door. And though you fought to keep me, I have left you in the past. And now as I reinvent my life, I can feel I'm free at last. So now that's it, addiction. I've followed you through hell, but I am taking back control. So addiction, that's farewell. There you go.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Brian, because I know they're really private then. I'm really aware of time, and I know that Nadine is just hooked on as well. So get in touch, Nadine, Jerome. We love you.
Hit the share button, Nadine.
Yes.
And Jerome.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Brian.
No
okay,
problem.
I want to say a massive shout out and thank you very much to Brian Porter, Oscar and Mika. It's lovely to have you in the house and in the lounge. Alex Campbell and Andrew Bryant, welcome back.
You guys are great.
You can come and just chill with us.
Anytime.
And Mick Fleming, the not so sinister minister, who comes back week after week to give you the hope shot.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Massive shout out to all the frontline staff in the prisons, in treatment and with the homeless. And Glenn, do you want to say some final words before we say goodnight?
I can do, yeah. Just want to thank all the guests for coming on. It's a massive platform to reach the wider community. And I think tonight's show's been absolutely great. So, and the final words I will say is that if you don't like it, you will not be in the draw for the next Saturday's voucher. And hopefully we can get some more donations to make it a bigger prize.
Thank you very much, everyone. Stay blessed. And
love is the answer.
Love is the answer. We will be here again next Saturday at 5 p.m.
We love you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everyone watching.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.